Happy Wellness Wednesday and happy birthday eve to me, master trainer and wellness enthusiast Kiona Leah, back with you guys again for our April 27th, 2022 edition of Wellness Wednesday. And I know I've been really behind on these and I am so sorry. I really am doing the best I can with the schedule and the energy and the amount of time I have. I really wanted to put this out last week because I very much enjoyed the recent podcast. It was actually, I believe, right after Easter week that Dr. Andrew Huberman came out with a lovely podcast talking a lot about controlling our blood sugar. And it was so timely because it paired perfectly up with my hormone balancing class that I did. Now, right after Easter, doing work on our blood sugar is so important because often we have indulged a little too much. We might have given the kiddies a basket full of chocolate and jelly beans, or my personal Easter favorite, Cadbury cream eggs. And that allows things to get a little bit out of control. So that whole workout class on Easter Monday was all about controlling hormones and especially cortisol to help bring down that fluff in the middle. But remember, all hormones really do balance off of each other. So if we work to control our insulin levels and our blood sugar levels, we really have a good way of controlling a lot of the other hormones as well. The body is really always looking for homeostasis. That's what Teresa Tapp always used to like to call it, was homeostasis. We're looking to balance everything. And I really like the way Dr. Huberman explains it as well. He often talks about sort of a little seesaw, and the seesaw tips one way when one hormone gets too heavy and another hormone gets too light, and vice versa. What controls that is not so much how much of one or another you have, but the way he describes it is often the tightness of the hinge point of that seesaw, and how can we work to make sure that has the right tightness. Because if any of us have ever been on a seesaw that's really loose and something starts to get heavy here, whoop, that side just flies off, and vice versa. So think about that as we're thinking about our blood sugar. To really, it helps to balance and control and inform everything in really lovely ways. Couple great tips that came out of his podcast. Super simple things and some simple things we've been doing in TTAP method for years and years and years. But science is showing more benefits. One of my personal favorites that we talked about forever was hot lemon water first thing in the morning. We talked about that with our cellulite removal, our CRT system. If you're doing that body brushing to really help the body help itself, balance things out as we detox, was to drink that hot lemon water first thing in the morning. The recipe we always gave people was half a lemon, squeeze it, boil into boiling water, and drink it like tea. Now, what's cool about that is, one, the water doesn't have to be hot. We're starting to go into that time of year where hot water is not the best, most tasty thing first thing in the morning because it's already warm enough. It doesn't have to be hot. It can be cold. But the scientific research actually also shows one of the things that lemon water does is it lowers blood sugar. Lime water works as well. So you can use either one. I don't know about you, but sometimes you get tired of the lemon flavor. The lime is a nice substitute for that. So we've been talking for years about using that as a liver cleanse, but turns out it helps the digestive system and it helps balance those hormones so that the blood sugar drops. So not only is this great first thing in the morning, especially if you're trying to extend your fasting because you're trying to work on intermittent fasting a little bit more, but it's another fantastic, easy tip right after, or like we used to say with hoedowns, about 20 minutes after a high sugar or high alcohol meal to help bring that down, stabilize that, and balance it. The less of these peaks and valleys we can have, the more balanced our hormone system is, the easier it is to get to the results we are looking to do. Personally, I had just in the last 6 weeks really gotten back into, do I do lemon water? Do I do celery juice? What do I do? Because I had attended the Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins, and they talked a lot about celery juice cleanses. Celery juice, lemon, and ginger all juiced together first thing in the morning to really flush things out. Now, you guys know that I don't do much without running it past Miss Heather Ruth, my nutritionist. So I happened to see her Thursday of last week, which is part of why I was trying to put off maybe doing this podcast, and ask her, what does my body like the best? What am I responding to you? And the answer was the lemon water only. Part of the thing with celery juice is it can lower blood pressure. So if you struggle with that already, you really may want to avoid it. It is very detoxing. Believe me, I felt the gurgles, but it really wasn't benefiting me. And it doesn't do much one way or the other for blood sugar. So if you have it with your lemon, it can help keep that blood sugar depressed, not compressed, maybe that too. But I was worried that it was going to bring it up and break my fast, which was something I was real concerned about. So that was an easy one. One of the other super easy ones, again, I may have talked about this before because I know I've done blood sugar ones before, but cinnamon. Again, there was really good scientific research out there about cinnamon, but you got to be careful. You really need to make sure it's real cinnamon. There's a lot of stuff out there that's sold that is cinnamon flavoring. You want real cinnamon. So far, the studies have not shown any distinction between different types of cinnamon. So we've got at least 3 or 4 different varieties of cinnamon that you could choose from. There hasn't been any distinction found in the studies. So you can use whatever type of cinnamon you like. And if you didn't realize there were so many types, make sure you get over to your local organic market or farmer's market and pick up different types of cinnamon like saffron cinnamon, oriental cinnamon, and things of that nature. But make sure it is the real deal. It's gonna cost you a little bit more than 88 cents for a shaker bottle, like, I don't know, you can get it at Aldi. So be careful with that, but really make sure real cinnamon. And again, you can sprinkle it on things. You can stir it into tea. It's a lovely topping on things like that. You could use it on toppings for sweet things. One of my favorite desserts is drizzle a honey or maple syrup, chopped up apple, and yep, cinnamon. Pop it in the oven, or if I'm really short on time, pop it in the microwave. Not the best, but at least it's warm. One of my favorite warm winter month desserts. And it's a great dessert at the end of your day because it's not going to bring your blood sugar up because of that cinnamon. Be cautious about how much cinnamon you have. You really max out at a certain amount. I'm hoping I'm remembering this correctly. I believe it's approximately a tablespoon, but it may be as little as a teaspoon of cinnamon per day. Otherwise, it does start to affect other organs and other endocrine systems. So if you're going to use cinnamon, be careful and measure it out for your day. You can't just go pounding back the cinnamon and have that be okay. The last supplement that Dr. Huberman talked about nicely in depth, and I've heard him talk about it before, is a supplement called berberine. And this has been shown to not only drop blood sugar as much as things like metformin and other prescription medications, but you can find it in supplement form, and it does the same thing. It also has some amazing anti-aging properties. This has been studied by Dr. David Sinclair, one of the leading anti-aging researchers as well. He is, I believe, Australian, so he can actually get metformin without a prescription and can take that for his longevity. Here in the United States, we can't do that. But it's interesting because the studies are showing that diabetics on metformin are actually showing longer markers for longevity than those of us with super controlled blood sugar that never take it. So berberine is another possible thing that we can look at for working with our blood sugar and extending our lives. Again, when I checked with Heather, it was a non-starter for me. So if you have experience with it, or with metformin, make sure and comment below, share with the rest of our viewers so that they know what you've gone through. I'm just telling you and reporting on a little bit of the research that I've heard about. Unfortunately, I don't have any anecdata for myself. Kind of love that word. But you know, I never tell you guys to do something that I wouldn't or haven't done for myself. And if I do tell you, I try and be real upfront about the fact of how much experience with it I have or not. So Be very careful if you're going to use it. And again, if you've got a doctor to work with, like mine, who's wonderful and does this pile of blood tests like mine did, 36 blood tests for my annual physical, was a big, huge pile. But it gave me huge amounts of information. One of the nice ones is, for me, my fasting blood sugar is about 76 or 79 is my resting glucose. So I have definitely got it down how to keep my blood sugar under control, which is a very, very, very good thing, because type 2 diabetes, no, type 1 wow, I can't talk today. Because type 2 diabetes does run in my family. My father's father had it. Now, my father and myself, we tended to always run on that hypoglycemic side with borderline low blood sugar. But here's the thing we all have to remember, if you're like me, is keeping that blood sugar too low, and therefore causing the pancreas to overproduce insulin, can eventually lead to type 2 diabetes. Because remember, type 2 diabetes is not the fact that your pancreas can't produce insulin. It's the fact that your cells are so tired of it. That's right. Too much insulin, being flooded with too much insulin all of the time, especially because we go through these big, huge peaks and valleys, are going to exhaust the cells. They're just not going to care anymore. So we want to make sure that we take good practices for making sure that our blood sugar stays well under control and we don't create those insulin spikes to exhaust our system either. So those are some of our tips for how to create and keep low blood sugar nice and natural, nice and easy. I know I'm a little late, but hopefully that was helpful information for you. What else do you want to learn about? What other topics sound interesting? Comment below. You can always direct message me through Facebook or YouTube or on the Vimeo channel. And let me know what other topics you guys want to talk about. Always look for our Monday night classes and our Final Monday freebie. And I'm Kiona Leah. I want to see you move, live, and thrive. So I'll see you on the next one.